don't want to be strong like man who look pretty. I want to be strong like bitch that fight bears in the forest.
Welcome to Bitch vs. Bear by Shieldmade and Training Co. We, Sydney and Amber, are your hosts with the most opinions on how the health, wellness, and fitness industries collide. And they often leave women and the LGBTQIA plus communities struggling to figure out their place in all of it.
Yeah. They do. They do.
Yeah.
So we're going to break it down for you all today. The topic that we haven't dug much into, but that I think we agree that is a kind of a foundation per se, is finance, or rather personal finance.
Yeah. And
how it contributes or hinders our health and wellness. I was listening to a podcast recently, which kind of led us down this path, which then I made Amber go and listen to.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's Money with Katie, in case anybody was wondering. And I think her episode title is like, Can Money Buy Happiness? I think it was something along those lines.
Upgrading something. Oh, shoot. I don't remember.
Well, go check it out. Money with Katie.
My phone is recording, so I can't look it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what made us want to explore this topic a little bit more, but with our take on it. And I got to drag Amber along for the ride. She had no
As
say
always.
in this topic.
I'm always just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
In the, what did we decide? 7 years of our friendship?
Yeah.
It's mostly just being me along for the ride.
So I'm Batman, you're Robin.
I don't know how I feel about
Scooby-Doo,
that.
Scrappy-Doo. Thelma, Louise.
Like that one. Don't they go over a cliff at the end?
Yeah.
Things are going with.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay, so getting back to finances, which sometimes
It's a hard
sends
topic.
me over a cliff.
Yeah, it's a hard topic. It is. Yeah.
Okay, so how can having a better relationship with our finances actually improve our health and wellness? This might be what you're asking yourself. It's what I ask myself all the time, in part because I don't have finances.
That is incorrect. Everybody has finances.
I don't have enough to do the things that I think I want, which I bet you're going to address in this episode.
Yeah, I am.
So our hypothesis on this, and by our, I mean mostly Sydney's, is that our finances are the foundation of our relationship with like everything, right? But specifically for us, things like nutrition and fitness. So if your relationship with your finances is rocky, how can you start to build on these other domains and other areas to feel better and healthier?
Good question. Hopefully I get to answer it, or we get to answer it, or at least skim the surface.
I love that reaction from you of like, great question. Like you didn't write it for me to ask.
It's a great question.
It is a good question.
But we are going to put a disclaimer here. We are not financial professionals.
No.
We have no formal financial education. We are not financial advisors, portfolio managers, or accountants. This is not financial advice.
This is just us talking.
Yes.
Literally. Take it or leave it.
Yep.
Please do your own research.
Please. Okay. We have, and maybe mostly me, have believed that the topic of money and finances has been gatekept.
Oh yeah.
It's just something that, I feel like people who have money don't talk about how they have money, except with other people who have money.
Rude.
And I think a lot of us can relate to the statements, like that we learned calculus in high school, but not how to balance a checkbook or like how to do our taxes. The actual real life applications of money kind of got lost for a lot of us.
Nice.
Yeah. And while these statements and these things can be true, it's also really easy to use them as a crutch to lean on it when it comes to having a relationship with your finances. I know a lot of people are like, well, I wasn't taught that when I was younger, so it escapes me now. Yeah. And I'm like, that might be true, but the onus is on you, because the key is really to acknowledge that they are personal. They're yours. They're your responsibility. I know. So you have the responsibility of getting really intimate with them. And I like to use the word intimate because it does feel that way sometimes. It feels like because they have been gatekept and it's a taboo topic with like, you know, everybody, including your inner monologue sometimes, that intimate felt like a really good word to use when describing them, because you have to get up close and personal with them. And they show you the things that you might not want to believe about yourself, where you're spending your money, how, like all those kinds of things.
Also rude.
Right? So we believe that the first step in this is how money can contribute to our happiness. And so you have to take the step to really get into it before you can get down the road.
Okay.
So
enough.
Amber, how do we get intimate with our finances? How do you get intimate with your finances?
Well, first I pour a glass of wine. No. Well, no, that is actually true.
Yeah.
I do that. I hate budgeting. So
but it is helpful. You have learned a lot and you have done really well.
I have learned a lot. I'm doing so much better. It helps to have money to budget, to be honest. Okay, so first you have to understand how much money you have coming in and how much is going out, and like where is it going out to?
Yeah.
Which, like, to be fair, it took me a long time to like figure out a system to do this. So there's lots of apps, there's software, there's banking institutes that can provide you with like stuff to use.
There's the good
tools.
old-fashioned Excel sheet.
Oh,
if
God.
you know how to do like formulas and all of that, it can. Yeah.
I tried that. It was not successful. I tried good old like pen and paper, and that was not successful. So what has finally helped me, because I've tried all the apps, I tried like all the things. What finally helped me is YNAB, and I think we've talked about this before.
I think we did.
YNAB, you need a budget. It is something you pay for, but for me personally, it was worth it.
I like that you can budget for the
yes, you can budget for
the
your
subscription in it.
It's under my subscriptions line, so it's great. Like you can. It's got. This is not an ad for YNAB, by the way. It's just I found it super helpful, and will rave about it to anyone who struggles with budgeting because it's helped so much. It's very easy to use. The interface is super simple. It's very clear.
Essentially, it's a really fancy Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But like broken down in a really like simple way.
Yes.
And you don't have to write the formulas.
Yes. And you can link it to your bank as like a double check to make sure you're catching everything that's coming in. And you can link your credit cards or savings accounts and like all this stuff. And you can have multiple budgets. That's where I budget for Shield Maiden and my personal budget. Anyways. Okay. So you can break down because you use YNAB as well.
I do.
What we like to do is break down our expenses into categories. So there's the immediate obligations, things that have to be paid every month: mortgage, rent, utilities, insurances, whatever. I put subscriptions and groceries into this category as well, because I know that has to be paid every month. There's other expenses, true expenses, like
that's where I put my groceries and my subscriptions.
But I also plan for, and I think you do too, things like dogs. We have dogs. We have to pay for things for them, like new lamb chops. Things like phone bills, whatever.
Yeah, the things that come true every month but aren't immediate obligations that you are going to need in that month, but aren't like, I'm going to be destitute, is how I put them in there.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because my immediate obligations are the things I know I'm going to have to put money into every month. So that for me includes like groceries and subscriptions and phone, internet. So like I have to cover, I'm like, okay, I get my paycheck, I have to cover all these things. And once those are covered, I can move into other expenses, like the dog, medical stuff, health and wellness stuff.
It's interesting because it's a gateway into brains and how you think. Because when I was writing this, I thought about I break mine down. I have my debt payments that don't include like house stuff. So like my student loan or car payments in a completely different category, even though I know I have to pay them every month, because I want to track how quickly I'm paying down my debts.
Oh, yep.
So they're in a completely different line item, so that when I pull my reports, I see them separately.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me at this point, the only debt that I have is my student loans.
Because somebody got to pay off her car.
Finally.
So that was nice.
7 years.
But it's been paid off for a while. You haven't had a car paid.
It's been paid off for a couple of years, yeah.
And like homegirl's still
Which is
running.
really nice. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a run.
It's a jog, like what Amber does when she goes out for a run.
She meanders.
Same thing.
And I put all of my everyday expenses on credit cards, so like that's not like a debt for me. That's just every 2 weeks or whatever I go in and pay it off.
Nice.
Yeah, I've gotten really good at this.
Yeah,
it's very impressive. The savings not so great because I've had a lot of other things to pay for. Anyways, okay, so break out your items, the things you need to pay for.
Yes.
Start with your immediate obligations, those things that have to be paid, and then work your way down.
Yes.
The bottom of mine is
most important to least important.
I have clothing and fun and dining out at the bottom of mine. It's real sad.
I have fun things, dining out, coffee out.
I love that that's a separate category.
Oh yeah, it's its own category. But further up the list, I have like an emergency fund and fitness. Like I budget for our gym memberships, and they're further up the line than when somebody else might put them.
I did move my health and wellness into, which includes my fitness, my gym memberships, into my immediate obligations. So I'm trying to prioritize that.
There you go.
So yeah, so essentially what it comes down to is pick a system that works for you, right? Depending on how your brain works. It might be useful to, like Sydney does, put debt payments in a separate category. You might want to keep all those kind of immediate need to be paid things in one place. Do what makes sense to you. Just, do something.
Essentially. So that's all well and good to create a budget. And now you know, okay, this is the money I have coming in. That was one thing we didn't talk about. It's like YNAB lets you can have your money coming in and then you assign it to all those categories. Yeah. So you can track that. What I like about it is that you are consistently tracking the numbers. Mm-hmm. And that to me is kind of the best way to see where that money is coming in and where it's going out. How frequently it's coming in, who knows? You might have a side hustle but you're blowing through those extra funds and not knowing it, where you could be utilizing them to put them into savings or to pay down a debt. But you're just like, you don't know that they're coming in and going immediately back out.
Yeah.
So that is huge for me, is consistently tracking the numbers. This is, I think, where a lot of people get tripped up. It's all well and good to set up a budget, but if you are tracking it daily, weekly, monthly, you don't know or understand where your money is and where it's going. So Amber mentioned that YNAB you can directly link to accounts and things like that, and it will pull that money for you. I don't have any of that set up because I go in daily and reconcile my budget. So I have to open up my lovely banking apps and I have to look at all of that. And then I have to go into YNAB and I have to reconcile those two things together. So I have a very intimate relationship with where my money is going. I know when there is a $22 charge to Amazon. I know when somebody has gone to Starbucks. Because we share a linked account. Shelby and I have a shared bank account. So I know where everything is going. And the reason I did that is because I did used to have them linked and it was really easy for me to not look at it for a while. And then I felt really disconnected and I'd be like, well, what happened to that $300? And now I can tell you almost down to the minute what is in our bank accounts, and because we have several things going at once.
Yeah.
Bank, checking account, savings account, like all of that. So I think that has been one of the big things, is like really getting close to it that way by manually having to do it.
That is one thing that I noticed when I put my credit card on there. It doesn't pull credit card information. So I am going in every day or two and making sure my credit card information is payments and charges and stuff are in there.
Nice.
So it is still it's still pulling my bank information, which is nice. Because there isn't really anything coming out of my bank directly at this point.
There you go.
Kind of nice.
So what that allows you to do when you're tracking the numbers is to really review where your spending and saving habits are. You can, you don't get caught off guard by things that way of like, oh, I have this much money, but really that money is allocated for things. And that is a good way to think of it. It's like, yeah, you might have $2,000 sitting in your bank account, but do you really have $2,000 to spend? Or is that money already assigned to a job?
Yes.
It's got things to do.
And I know I said this wasn't an ad, and it's not, but this is what I learned from using YNAB. Because I'd try to budget and I'd say, okay, I need to spend money on XYZ things, and it needs to be this much money, and I get my paycheck in. And then I just have that money sitting there. And I'm like, oh, I have this much money. But you don't.
You don't. It's already assigned. It has a job to do. And
yeah.
And I think that was a big thing for me when I was learning to budget and do personal finance things, was make your money work for you. And giving it a job really helped me reframe everything of like, no, it's got to do something for me. It's not just this green thing that I, make it rain kind of thing. It's got a job to do. Also reviewing in like a timely manner and set up a time frame. Maybe you do your budget every Sunday. Like when you're doing meal prep stuff, you do your budget, whatever works. I do mine daily, and then quarterly I pull reports. Again, not an ad for YNAB, but you can pull reports and see where it's going. Like over the last few months, I've been able to track really easily, because I have a line item for groceries, the cost of groceries and what it's costing us, and how we can change our spending habits to better support the other things, other jobs our money has to do.
Yeah.
And especially around the holidays, I don't want to tell you how much we spent on groceries. And we didn't even host people. It was just like baking, and it was just normal. So that is one of the nice things, is like going in and quarterly being like, wait a second, that got out of control. What happened in there?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I did this the other day. I was doing something in YNAB and wanted to look back at some past data, and I was able to pull up like my all-time like trends, which was so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I've been using it for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
There was one month when I didn't spend any money on groceries. I was like, what was I doing here? Was I fasting?
Were you traveling? Were you just not home?
No, I don't know what I was doing. It was so weird.
Did you just forget to assign it? Like what?
I don't know. Anyways, not that this really has anything to do with anything, but it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
To be able to look back and see what your trends are for how you're spending.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch my electric bill moving down here from the north.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what was that like?
That was wild. That was a wild ride. Let me tell you.
What were you spending on electric in Maine?
Oh, I was spending so much. Okay, so in Maine, my heat was electric, and I was in
the world's draftiest apartment.
Lovely little apartment. That I had to
this is the one she got frozen into, mind you.
That's a whole other story. So I was spending close to $200 a month during the winter months when the heat was on for heat and electric. During the summer, with the heat off, it was usually $30 to $40.
Nice.
Moving down here, it's weird because now it's flip-flopped, because my heat here is gas and part of my rent, so I don't have to pay for it out of like my own accounts. But my AC on the third floor apartment
Heat rises.
has been a little more. So during the summer now, it peaks up to like $120 to $50. Where in the winter, I'm paying like under $30. It's so weird.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Which this is really great because it leads us to our next little topic there.
You should discuss your finances.
Yes, you should.
Discuss them with the people closest to you, partners, best friends, parents. My mom and I discuss finances. She's very good with her finances. I'm always so impressed. She's very good at budgeting and doing her things. She's got great credit. Super annoying. So this can be very uncomfortable.
I have great credit now.
I know you do. My credit went up by like 20 points the other day. I was so excited. Yes.
This is the thing of talking about gatekeeping. It happens so like that's a win. Like that's a win. And like
it shouldn't have to be because credit is the stupidest fucking system in the world. But it's a win in the system we live in.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take your wins where you can get them.
So this can be uncomfortable. Talking about finances has always been a little uncomfortable for me because I've always struggled with it and been honestly ashamed of the fact that I couldn't budget and didn't have money and didn't know what to do with the little bit of money that I did have beyond spend it on rent and groceries. But yeah, it can be freeing too, like being able to talk about it and learn. Like I've learned a lot from talking with Sydney about finances and what to do with them and how to budget. So it's great. You really need to talk about it. Even though it's one of those, taboo subjects that we were taught not to discuss, right? Sex, money, religion. Don't talk about those. They don't exist.
Those are all things we talk about on this podcast.
Yes. Freely and happily. But I mean, money has such a huge impact on our lives.
Yeah.
Like it's huge. Whether you have it, whether you don't, it's going to impact your life.
Yeah.
So we should be like talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So how do we make our money work for us maybe a little bit better?
I don't know. Tell me, please.
I think you should make your goals for your finances aspirational, but attainable. So you have to be very clear on what your goals are. And we talk a lot about reflection here. And so I think this is a great time to practice that.
Uh-huh.
You have to be very clear on what your goals you have and how your existing, I'm going to say that again, existing funds will work for your lifestyle upgrade. We'll call it an upgrade. So you have to address your very specific grievances that you have with your current setup and not rely on the thought process if I just earned a little more. So we all fall into that trope of if I could just earn a little more. But
feel targeted.
There's a lot of data out there saying that people in the high earning over, individuals earning over $100,000 still feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. There's a lot of reasons for that. Lifestyle creep is one of them. Like as you earn more, you spend more and it gets away from you. If you continue to live like you live now, but earn that, it would be great. Yeah. But not a lot of people carry that through when they start to earn more. Yeah. So I'm going to say it again. Existing funds will work for the lifestyle upgrade you want. Mm-hmm. And you have to address your very specific grievances that you have with your current setup and not rely on that thought process if I earn just a little more. We know that inflation is high and wages are stagnant. We're going to exclude those from the topic of this because they're mostly outside of our control right now. Yeah. Maybe stagnant, like you can advocate for a raise and things like that, but we're going to just leave that off the table right now. So we're kind of focusing on like 1% to 2% changes if you're a percentile person that you can make that will guide your decisions about money now with kind of that longevity in mind. So I'm going to give you an example of something that we hear quite a lot and maybe a different way of looking at it.
Sounds like you're talking about me here.
For example, you find yourself constantly stating how tired you are. You feel run down, low energy, high appetite because you need the calories to give you energy, relying on caffeine to get you through the workday, and you avoid the gym because it feels like too much strain on your body, and it's just this cyclical thing. Any of those things could be the root cause, right? Perhaps. Or maybe you haven't purchased a new mattress and bed frame in 15 years, and it's contributing to your poor night of sleep. Why haven't you upgraded? Because those things are expensive, and it usually requires budgeting for. So like a new mattress is like what? Baseline a good mattress, you're looking at least like $500 to $700. That's like baseline for a good mattress. Sure, you can get like a $200 one off of Amazon, but it usually degrades in a few years, and then you're in the same boat. So our relationship with our finances is key to all aspects of our health and wellness. Going back up to our hypothesis, it's easy to overlook this topic as in the integral part that it plays. So we would like to urge you to consider how it impacts you and how to start that you should start tackling your personal finances. And that's just an example of like, okay, maybe it isn't all of these external factors. Maybe it's simply that you haven't budgeted for a new bed, and that could solve the issue.
That's fair.
So pick a specific grievance. See if you can find that root cause. And is it something that you could fix by budgeting?
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that can be fixed with just a little bit of time and energy put towards them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had to do this a little bit. Starting at the climbing gym, I have to budget. Like, okay, this is something I want. I need to budget for it.
Yep.
What am I going to cut out?
What did you cut out?
I don't know yet. Probably Amazon. All my Amazon purchases. My fun money budget has gone way down.
I was like, the streaming service? Oh no, the purchases.
Just the purchases. Just all the visits. They should be here later. With my new package.
Timely.
Yeah. But yeah, like looking at those dining out, fun money, clothing budget that I just kind of been spending on because I have the money to.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well, I like this, I enjoy it, but this is probably healthier.
Yeah.
I mean, requires attention.
It's not that you're necessarily taking away from, you're just reallocating the majority, right? Like if, that's just the way that I like to look at it. It's like, okay, well, now I can just reallocate. Sometimes vacations are going to be the things that you want to take and like travel, and
that'd be nice.
You have to allocate some funds that might go to something else for that time being. Like maybe you reduce your savings so that you can build up a travel budget for a specific, like whether it's a wedding or you just want to go to Europe and you've never been. It's those things where you're just reallocating some funds, your existing funds. I'm going to say that again. Existing funds. But when you get a new job, that's always fun too. If you get pay increase.
Sweet.
Cool. So
yeah,
money. We'll talk more about it, I'm sure.
I'm sure. It's such a big thing, and it's such a taboo thing, and there's so much to learn.
There's so much to learn, and it does contribute to all those other kind of domains. And like, we're here to talk about health and wellness, and money affects our health and wellness.
Yeah. It can be a lot. It's a major stressor for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which affects our health and wellness, as we have learned.
Yep.
All right. Well, to keep doing that and learning about our hot takes on finances, even though we are not financial advisors or professionals, this is just us talking. Make sure to follow us, like us, rate us, comment. We love to hear from people, real people, not bots. All the things. Listen on your favorite podcast platform. Watch our video on the YouTube. And make sure to check out the Armory for some awesome new swag, which I am wearing today. This is our new flowy crop top with our new logo. It's so comfortable. You should go check it out.
Go pick one up. Do it. You won't.
But budget for it.
but budget for it.